Hey, good to see you. Thanks for coming. Another episode of Wireframe brought to you by Design Systems House. I'm your host, Donnie D'Amato, and today we're going to be talking about bad UX for fun. But before we get into that, I got to tell you about a whole bunch of stuff that has happened over just the past week since I last saw you. I probably mentioned last week about all the different events that were going on, and it became a lot busier than I anticipated. And that's because of my health. I had a fairly significant ear clog that turned into an ear infection, which was really fun. And it really knocked me on my butt basically earlier this week. And that sucked because I had a lot of stuff planned this past week. So Smashing was in town in New York City. It's something I look forward to every year. I have some great friends that organize that conference as well as people who speak at it. And of course, friends that come from around the country, maybe even the world in some cases, that show up for this thing that we get to, of course, finally see each other in real person, because the community part of what we do is super important, at least to me, and I think to us as well. So on Monday, I was scheduled to basically finish up the lightning talks for Smashing at Figma's offices in New York City, where I was going to have effectively a discussion about my top 4, which is something we've talked about on Wireframe. And in fact, since then, I found out that CSS Tricks did a follow-up article themselves on their top 4 CSS properties. And I loved reading that. And I really wanted to find out what the folks in the room thought about their top 4 CSS properties. Speaking, of top 4 CSS properties, why don't we ask AI and find out what AI thinks about their top 4 CSS properties, just to spice things up a little bit before I continue on other things that I did this week. So, there we go. So, tell me about your top 4 CSS properties. What are the if you could only use 4 CSS properties, what would those properties be?
If I could only use 4 CSS properties, I would choose margin, padding, font family, and color. These properties allow me to control the spacing and positioning of elements on a web page, as well as customize the font and color to give the website a specific look and feel. I could use margin and padding to create a responsive design that adapts to different screen sizes, use font family to choose a font that is legible and aesthetically pleasing, and use color to give the website color and make important information stand out.
Okay, I mean, that's an opinion there. I think some folks over at CSS Tricks did choose color in there for some of that personality. If you read the blog post that I have on my blog talking about that, I lean less into the personality part and more into the user experience part about it. That's just how I am. Again, I would have loved to have heard some of the other opinions that were there at Figma. But moving right along for other things that we did this week, because of my illness, I didn't show up for that talk, so I couldn't actually perform it. And I actually missed the entire first day of the conference because I was in a lot of pain. My wife went. So my wife is in design systems as well. She ended up taking my ticket to go, ended up going with my friend Natalia and Joshua, and spent a lot of time with them at the conference, which was great. She ended up meeting a lot of people herself and networking through the ladies there, so that was wonderful. Luckily, I was feeling better Tuesday into Wednesday. So basically, some of my condition has changed. I actually even went to the doctor as like an emergency kind of, the condition's changed. So I went to the doctor to kind of like find out what was going on. And I got effectively a situation normal, all fucked up kind of thing, which, there's bad parts to that and good parts to that. I'm not going to go into too much detail because it's kind of not great. But moving along there because the doctor said everything is okay. I decided I'm going to take the first train in to go into the conference just to catch like the tail end, say hello to some people that I was looking forward to seeing, which I did. So on Wednesday we did that, and we both, because Jen was already in the morning, and I kind of just showed up at the tail end to say hello. And I did get an opportunity to see Nate Baldwin speak, which was great. I was looking forward to him coming in and just saying hello. We've been, I guess, professional colleagues in the space for a while now together, and I did speak to him once online prior, just shooting the shit about tokens and modes and things of that nature. And we had an opportunity to dive into a couple of different things that were going on. Really appreciate his perspective on things, of course. And I like to hope he thinks similar of me. So then we had an after party that was great that we went to for some of the speakers, some of the organizers. That was great. And then we went home. And then the following day was Patterns by Knapsack, which just happened to be in the same particular week. So we ended up actually first meeting up with TJ Petrey, who you might know from, I've mentioned him a couple of times on the show, and I'm sure you've seen his name a couple of times through talking about design systems and AI. He's got a lot of resources out there, a lot of tools out there. He even showed it off, which I'll talk about because it happened today. But he showed it off elsewhere this week. But we met up with him in the morning before he left to catch his flight. And I got a chance to sit down with him to talk about this idea that I've had about the next evolution of what we do with design tokens, specifically with curation, because curation takes up a lot of time. And for folks that are just looking for a new expression, depending on the number of tokens you have, it could take a really long time. And we should have the ability at this point for AI to really step in and help us in a very specific way. And I'm really glad to have someone like TJ in my circle effectively to guide me in what kind of steps that I might need to take in order to get something like this done. And it might be a large project that I undertake for next year in particular. So, after we get this book out of the door, which actually the book talks about what I want to do in there, then starting that up would be really cool to see that really happen. I think that's going to be humongous. Anyway, right, so Patterns, we go to Patterns that day, Jen and I. I was actually on a panel at Patterns talking effectively about AI and design systems and how it's influencing us today. And I was on that panel with Rania, who's head of design and AI, I think, at Citi. I think that's the title. I think the title was a little bit more complicated than that. And then Devin from GSK, who's more on the product side. So it was a nice spread of experience that was on there. And Rania, oh my God, I loved Rania. It's a shame that she had to leave so soon. We were really jamming, but hopefully she shows up at the UXDX event that is next week on Wednesday that we'll be at. I sent her the link for that. So, but anyway, yeah, we had a little bit of a demo for Knapsack's MCP server, and I did my, I guess, common test that I'll do when it comes to having AI generate UI. And the test that I do is I ask, hey, generate a timeline component. And the reason I do that is that many design systems out there don't have a timeline component. So they need to try to figure out what that means. And admittedly, that demonstration did okay. It wasn't great, but it was okay. And the reason I say it wasn't great is because it neglected to even put a single line that shows progress in the composition. Effectively, it is going to be making like list items, either horizontal or vertical, but it doesn't connect those things in a line that, again, for me, visualizes progress between those things. So it didn't know how to do that. My suspicion in that is because the line itself is very cosmetic and ornamental. It's not really defined so well in code a lot of the time. Like if you're going to go ahead and just draw a line, maybe that's a border width, or maybe it's a pseudo element or something like that. So it's entirely possible that it doesn't really get picked up in all of the data that has been scrubbed for AI over these years. And of course, the lack of timeline examples out there, I think, also probably plays a part. But yeah, we had some great conversations. I met a wonderful person named Evan last night. What an incredible background. He's been on several of the community working groups and web working groups for things like ARIA and of the sort. Really great insight there. I'm looking forward to getting him into the community also, because I think he's got a lot of stories and stuff to share, as well as some of the other folks that I met there. Him in particular, we talked a whole bunch of times over the course of the day. We went to a dinner, which was nice. It was super cool. And then we came back home, and now it's Friday. And Friday was kind of supposed to be a little bit of a relaxed day, although Jen is going out and rock climbing in Brooklyn somewhere. I am here kind of catching up on the week because, again, with the health stuff earlier, the events that we knew that were going on this week, I'm just kind of trying to catch up a little bit. However, I also, I might have mentioned last week that I was sitting in on Brad Frost's Advanced Design Systems course or workshop by Smashing last week, but today was the last day. And TJ was on the show. On the workshop and kind of showing off all of his tools, which was great. And I actually asked in the chat to do the timeline component, and I think it cheated a little bit because it ended up just finding the component that Mantine has, which I actually didn't know they had a timeline component, and it just found the timeline component from Mantine and put that in there as the answer, which I was like, okay, fine. I mean, I guess that tracks if you're going to go find existing stuff, which I appreciate when these MCPs find existing stuff. I think that's important. All right. That was this whole week. Jen and I are trying to take the weekend off to just recuperate, clean the house. It's a disaster. But overall, a really good time this week, other than, medical things. But all that being said, let's go into the topic for today, which is bad UX for fun. I saw this post actually earlier today, and I thought this is actually a really fun thing. And let's bring up the post here on the computer. Here we go. There is a post, or I say a website actually, really, that is called the Bad UX World Cup. This is Balsama over here. This is Sama's down here on the bottom left and right over here. And effectively, you are going to be, what they're asking you to do is they're asking you to create a date picker with the worst UX possible. What the site says is here, your date picker must make it technically possible to pick the desired date. You can use any technology, web framework, whatever you like. Make your submission available on a publicly accessible URL and submit your entry by clicking the cool button below. And of course, there's some time left. I don't know how much time that is necessarily. Because some judges here, we have David, Cassidy, and Kevin. And what people are saying, and then some recent entries, which is cool. We can go over these in a little bit, but before we do that, I want to show you a couple of other things that this reminded me of. So one of the things that this reminded me of is the worst volume control UI, and here's a whole bunch of examples of that that came out from several years ago. How long was this? It's 2017. So there was some sort of contest or bad UI battle or something of that nature that happened a couple years ago, and Fabio here has collected a whole bunch of examples. So the first one here, you could see to change the volume, you would have to rock the entire control of that first one. The second one is more like I don't know, an archery kind of thing where you hold it to shoot the thumb to the correct position on the bar. Advanced volume control here just looks like you have to select the right number, which doesn't look too terrible. It's just a really large control. This next one here looks like a randomizer, right? This one is crazy. You're basically curling to get the right volume. So you basically launch the puck here, and then you have to scrub to get the right volume. This is wild. Then you have rolling, so another kind of random selection here. This one is also exceptionally devious. The volume is based off of your position in the world. So you would have to change, you would have to go to a new location in the world to change the volume, which is crazy. Okay, next one, you have to actually scream the volume that you want, which is wonderful. This one, you have to draw the volume that you want from the dots. This one, the volume is based off of the tilt of your laptop screen. Good luck if you don't have a laptop screen. This one is pressing space to perform a color action. It looks like you have to like get as close to the green to get the 5% volume. Yeah, I think it would be more devious if you got in the red, it would go down. Here looks like a DDR kind of style thing where you have to hit the arrows or the notes to go up or down. Here's Clippy trying to help you choose the volume. I don't know what's going on here. This looks like some electrical engineering stuff that I'm not even about to follow, but I'm assuming this is trying to, do some ohms and resistance to figure out what your volume is. You have to select the volume per frame for this one. This is awful. This one's actually kind of cute because you effectively set the level for each one of these select drop downs. And then I think for this one is like a Pong game where you have to like win and increase the volume. This is a randomized one, but Wheel of Fortune. This one I thought was hilarious, and I actually was like thinking about for the Bad UX challenge about just like making a subscription to even be able to change volume, this is extra devious. I don't know what this one is unless the volume is supposed to be at the UI level. Installing volume is wild. This one looks like as the volume increases, it makes it harder and harder to actually change it. And this one just looks like a large volume control. Yeah, so there's a lot of really good things here, and I think there's something interesting about that too, because volume control, just being like a single number, which is commonly a slider too, but it's a very, very simple kind of input, right? You just input a number from 0 to 100, and that's it, right? It should be fairly simple to like make an input that does that, but you can ramp up the complexity in lots of different ways, right? I mean, even like the curling one, you effectively have to do two things. You first have to launch the puck, and then you have to take the broom and start scrubbing directly afterwards just to set the volume, right? So I'm just like really fascinating and creative things. This also reminded me of another one, which was Bad UX for telephone numbers. I couldn't find a good article that just had like a good representation of all of them, but I found in Google Images they have a whole bunch. So let's take a look at these. So a couple of them that are in here. There's like this one here, which is like the slider, where you have to slide to find the correct, your phone number. There's another one here where you're like guessing phone numbers and you have to go up and down. There's one here where you're doing it individually by drop down. Let's see here. Is this another slider one? Oh no, this is, they're just crossing it out. I can't tell what's happening in there. And then this one I think is, I think you have to like, have these numbers will rotate and you would have to like find the right ones. This says that this is let's see if this is the actual post that has a whole bunch of them in there. Oh yeah, so this is the post that I found, but like some of the images are broken in here because this is probably pretty old. Yeah, so you have to do, digits like that. This is like, you have to increment it by individual digits. I think that's a restart there, slider. This one is a little bit less inspired, I think, overall. I think the volume ones were a lot better. But, yeah, so before we go into the things that have been submitted already on the site, I wanted to kind of, because I actually haven't seen any of them except for those first top ones that we just saw there. I wanted to go over some of the ideas that I would have done or would have considered for this if I had the time, which I don't think I'll have the time to do. So please go ahead and just acquire these ideas if you want. You could attribute it to me if you like, but I don't care one way or the other. But the first thing that came to mind thinking about this was like a sundial. The first thing I was thinking about was, okay, I was like, could we make it so that you needed to change like celestial bodies in the sky in such an orientation that produces the correct day and time, right? So I was like, okay, that could be annoying because you need to know like where the sun and the moon were. But I suppose from there, like, you'd still need to, I mean, you probably, if I was exceptionally devious, you wouldn't even show what the time actually was that you were submitting. You just have to know, oh, okay, these are where the bodies were, and this is the time I'm submitting. So it was like, you know, it's just dragging some planets around. Maybe it wasn't so hard, depending. The next thing I was thinking about was actually just taking a book, a page out of the book of the volume control one, and just putting a paywall behind it. You know, and being exceptionally annoying because maybe like each significant digit of date time you need to add, it would be an increase of paywall, right? So you could put in the year for free, but then you could put in the month for like $5, and then the day for like $10, and then hours and stuff. And as you get more and more precision, you would have to, you know, just get to a higher and higher plan. I think that sounds awful, but easy, right? Because you could use any date picker for that, but every time you select something, or you could be even more devious, you'd be like, if you want to change the month, you got to go ahead and pay. Like, just you know, awful. And then another thing that I was thinking about was just making it really hard. So we saw that in one of the later things for the volume, where like as you increase the volume like starts changing, making it difficult for you to grab. So like I was thinking about every time you like make a selection, or even just move to another page or something like that in this date picker, a modal pops up, and how you close the modal changes each time. And I think that would be, you know, awful. Technically, you know, able to select the date, but just awful UX because disruptions are awful overall. But those are the three ideas that I had that I would consider, you know, attempting if I was going to go ahead and do it. The sundial one, I don't have enough expertise in celestial movement when it comes to time, so I don't think I would really do that. But I think the paywall one would probably be pretty easy to like demonstrate, whether or not I actually, you know, I'm not going to put it to it like a stripe account or something. But I think the modal one, it'd be the one that I would probably do if I was going to do any of them. Because you could just use existing components and just attach event listeners, make the new modal, move the button, that kind of thing. But anyway, let's see what's been submitted. I'm very interested to see what kind of devious stuff has been submitted so far. So what do we have here? So it looks like the first one here is you need to select the date by color. I'm curious to know what that is. I'm not going to go actually click into these. I'm just going to assume as I go down because there's quite a few of them. And maybe if we have some time, which we might, maybe we'll find the ones we like the best. Date picker is by bullseye. Or basically, I guess, like hitting the right things over here. And I'm assuming as you select these things, they'll move over to the next area. So you'd be like, you know, if we're going to select today, which is the 10th of October, I think, yeah, we would have to hit here first, and then here again because it's 10:10, and then the year we would have to hit here, and then there is no 25, so get wrecked. Right? Unless you have to hit the 2 and then the 5, I guess. I guess that makes sense. Cool, okay. And then you have this, which it looks like your speed is days per second. So I'm not sure like how you would go back in this particular instance, right? Like how you would go back in time. Okay, yep. So epoch time entering, that's annoying, but not impossible. Just won the prize of 100. Okay, you won a prize of $100 million. Select the date when you want to pick them up. Can you just? Okay, there must be something more to this because this looks too easy already. Same with it says swipe to. Okay, so you have to swipe left or right to determine what day and stuff that you want in here. So you're just swiping through like effectively these pages like it's Tinder. Okay. This looks like some Oregon Trail shit. Let's see, arrows to move, space to. Oh no, this is Arachnoid or Space Invaders. Yeah, more like Space Invaders. Space to shoot. The date that reads the bottom of the screen is selected. Wow, this is awesome. This is really good. Cool. Okay, what is this? Okay. You're starting a proposal, picking a date with this endless select. Before the jury opens the slime trapdoor, which locks you. Since every great catastrophe has been cascading. Okay, so apparently this drop-down is supposed to have every date and time in it, or something of that nature. Well, maybe we'll take a look at that and see what's going on there. Slider. Okay, so there's a slider here, and there's apparently different attempts for this. Okay, all right. This one looks like you're just selecting through a whole bunch of cards, so maybe this is okay. Move the duck to catch the following numbers to create. Okay, so you're catching numbers with this duck to create the date. Okay. Oh, this is hilarious. This looks like a matching game where you have to find the dates. That's good. Oh, here's what I was effectively saying is like you have to move the celestial body. Okay, well that's done. Great. Good job, Matt. Blackjack date picker. Wow, that's hilarious. I like that. World's most secure date picker. I can't read the text on that, but I want to, maybe we'll go in there and see. Oop, okay, hold on now. I don't want to go yet. I don't want to go yet. I don't want to go yet. Okay. All right, going down some more here. Date of birth is just random select. That's pretty good. Okay, world's best date picker. Okay, this is like a game because some dates are potentially temporarily unavailable. Navigation arrows work exactly as expected, probably don't. Yeah, I see them like backwards already. Weekend availability subject to cosmic alignment. Wow, okay, multiple clicks may be required for date registration. Side effects may include mild frustration. Okay, not recommended for time-sensitive applications. Yeah, I kept clicking until something happened. So, all right, so yeah, so this is basically just randomly potentially going to cause you frustration over the time. Surgical date picker. Relevant liturgical season. Liturgical count. Okay, so they're using like a different calendar for that. Okay, all right. Shuffle grid. Okay, interesting. I guess this is another kind of slider thing. Interesting. So you have to like type in an event and then use that date. I think that's what's going on here. And then this is Salma's. Binary search date picker. Find your date of birth, older, younger. Oh, okay, so it's basically going back and forth between to try to like hone in. It's basically the same way that you would do like square root kind of stuff in there. Okay, all right. So there isn't a lot here. So let's go back to a couple of these that I didn't exactly understand entirely. The first one was this one. I want to see what this is all about. So is this, oh, so every time you go over one of these dates, it shifts over a little bit. Okay, so if I wanted to do today, I wanted to do 10, I would go here, and then I would go here, and then I would go here again, and then I would go here, and then I would go, let's do 25, right? So 2, I hit the 2, but we'll do it again. 2. Oh, won't do 2. I wonder what it wants. Does it want 9? Let's try. That's actually annoying. Oh, I don't know why it won't put in the numbers there. I'm not sure what that was doing, but okay. I don't totally get the rest of the inputs there, but okay. We're going to go along with that. All right, the swipe thing we saw already, that's Space Invaders. Let's just double check what's going on in here. Is this just a wild drop down? What's going on? Oop. Oh yeah, yeah. This is a wild drop down. Yeah, it's just by dates though, but it is a wild drop down. Okay. Yeah, even my computer was like, I don't know, what do you want from me here? This looks like a slider, so I'm going to move along with that. Okay, we have the random ones. Okay, so I wanted to see what this one was. Okay, we're not going to do cameras. I just want to see what this stuff says here. Oh, jumping jacks. Okay, so it's going to follow. Wow, this is something else. You have to do jumping jacks to have the counter start moving. Oh my God, that's amazing. Yeah, this reminds me of the. They would reduce the fares, I think, in Russia or maybe Eastern Europe, by you doing like push-ups or something, which was cool for like transit. Okay. Let's see what else we have here. Maybe we'll take a look at this tape picker. Click adjacent cells to do a 2-digit number. So can I do this? Okay, not bad. Okay. And then I need to do 10 again, so I'll do 10. And I think this is working. I don't see why this is, unless I do like adjacent cells here. Because if I had to do adjacent cells here, then this is a little rough. But let's see if we could do a 2025 thing. I see 25 here. I gotta scroll down and see more of the grid here. So yeah, so I'm looking for like the zeros for the 2025. So like this area looks kind of good. I wonder if I can select the same number twice. Probably not though. So I don't see anything else that looks necessarily good here. So we'll shuffle the grid. I like the little animation, that's cute. But yeah, this is pretty good. I like this. This is good. This is a little gamified kind of thing about this. Yeah. This is close. 2, 0. You know, there's a 2. Oh, there it is right here. 2, 0, 2, 5. Excuse me? What? Okay, again, I don't understand the selection here. I think it's like not working right, and I don't know that that's like part of the whole thing. But okay, cool. So anyway, if you are interested in doing that stuff and getting into whatever the bad UX contest is at badux.lol, and you can give that a shot if you like. And like I said, I don't think I'm going to submit anything just because I don't have any time. I have a whole list of things that I need to do. Yeah, hopefully that was cool. Doing bad UX for fun, And I think it's also a really nice exercise in terms of like, I don't know, just trying to think of all the bad patterns that you've seen and potentially putting them together. Like I mentioned about the modals thing, modals is a pattern that we have. In fact, when I was pulling up some of the examples from like the Medium articles, I had, trying to scroll down a little bit, I was like, boom, subscribe for more. I'm like, I'm not here for that, So anyway, but let me know what you think, and maybe submit something. Again, I don't know how much time it is. I'm going to maybe assume like it's the weekend or maybe the week or whatever. I'm not about to figure out what that clicker is down there. But badux.lol, go over there and take a look at it. In terms of other things that are going on, the only thing I know of is that UXDX is actually, I think, doing some sort of like celebratory week next week. For like a global celebration kind of situation. I think that's what's going on next week with them. There's going to be virtual events and also in-person events, which is why I know that next week there'll be an event here in New York on the 15th, on Wednesday. So I'll be there. My wife Jen will be there as well. I'm sure other familiar faces that normally go to these events will be there if you're interested. And I don't even know who's speaking. I know there's people speaking. I don't know who this is. As soon as I see an event for UXDX, I'm in there. And that's what I like to do. So if you're in the town, absolutely take a look at that. Additionally, Converge, if I didn't mention it last week, I think I might have, but it's sold out. Woo! It's sold out. It's incredible. So I'm really looking forward to that. I saw Luke. He was here in town for Smashing, which was great. It was good to see him. We chatted a whole bunch of things to catch up on, including actually he did see the content for the talk, and he told me that it was good. He says he's really looking forward to it. So like that, and that was unprompted. I didn't even ask him about that. I actually I think I just shared that information with him like within 24 to 48 hours before even seeing him. So, and he didn't even ask me. I've been working with his editor for an article that'll be coming out basically around the same time as Converge that has this similar content in it, and that person shared it with Luke, who then read the content and was like, okay, this is going to be good. So that's great, especially since I haven't freaking performed this thing yet. I've been so busy. So hopefully this weekend in particular, now that I'm feeling a little bit better, and again, not 100%, but I'm looking forward to actually performing the talk and knocking out all the kinks and really buttoning it up. And, because again, I mentioned it, I think last week about how important this particular event is to me and the opportunity. So I think that's basically it. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that's going on that I need to report on. I don't think so. It's been a lot. But yeah, thanks for joining me on another episode of Wireframe. I will see you in the next one. Take care. Have a good one. Bye.